July 20th, 2020. All right, guys, just something that kind of kept me up last night, and I wanted to communicate it with you for those of you that are, paying attention to world events and what's coming next. So if you've watched my content, especially my engineered pandemic videos, and on this channel, if you go to the playlist, you can see the engineered pandemic playlist, but I show you how for years, this gain of function technology and the gain of function research has been utilized specifically on coronaviruses to give them the ability to transfer from animal to human, and that it was just a precursor to this pandemic. And of course, much of the science of looking at SARS-CoV-2 and any of the other past viruses point to the fact that this gain of function was given to these viruses, and this was deliberately created in a lab and accidentally or intentionally released. And here we are. So I found it odd, about a week ago, Dr. Suzanne Humphries uploaded a presentation that she gave at an Autism One conference 2 years ago about smallpox. And it's one that I already have in my smallpox playlist on the Fear versus Freedom channel. So I was like, why did she upload this right now? Why is this coming to the forefront of our minds, this education on smallpox? More importantly, the fact that the eradication of smallpox isn't what we have been sold by the education system and by medicine. And you need to read Dissolving Illusions to understand this and learn about how the town of Leicester actually contained smallpox just with, efforts of quarantine and isolation and things like that. Anyway, I'm going to point you to her presentation. I think it's very important that you go watch it. Better yet, go watch the entire smallpox playlist on the Fear versus Freedom channel to really learn the details about smallpox and how it truly was eradicated over time. But then in my Google News alerts, I started getting also this week a lot of articles about smallpox, and not just talking about, because of vaccines, we no longer have smallpox, because that's the story everybody tries. Well, what about smallpox? What about polio? Well, go learn about it. I want to see, why are we getting this now? And I don't believe in coincidences. So I've been doing a little bit of digging. This is purely speculation, but this pandemic, it's no accident that it was coronavirus that was used so that it could just be, worldwide, because everybody's been exposed to coronavirus. That's going to be increased cases testing positive when there's really no danger to people, and false mortality rates that can be pushed in the media and creating fear and getting you to comply with their mandates. Now, there's a lot of talk of future pandemics and what's coming next. Well, I'm starting to think it's smallpox. And I'm just going to point you to a few things, and then I want you guys to go dive in and do your own research and uncover more, because what I've done is very high level. So let's look. First of all, I want to show you the Fear versus Freedom channel. The smallpox playlist has what Suzanne just uploaded last week, and she's been silent for quite some time. So to have her come out and put something new is pretty interesting, even though it is a couple years old that she presented this. So I actually start with that presentation, her Dissolving Illusions, and the information that she learned when researching her book with, I think his name was Roman Bistriani. This book, Dissolving Illusions. Please buy it and read it. She dives into this entire presentation about the true history of smallpox and the eradication of it. Very similar presentation she did on her own channel, along with Vaxxed channel, and some great other presentations by Forrest Moretti and Dr. John Bergman. So it's a really good playlist that I highly encourage you to go watch. This is showing that on her channel. She uploaded this last week. And she even allowed comments to be left, which is not something she normally does. So I think she's trying to get a discussion going about smallpox and giving us a heads up that something's right around the corner. So what could it be? Well, if we go back a couple years, we got some information about scientists genetically modifying the smallpox to bring it back. Right? So here's an article from October 5th of 2018. Microbiologists are suddenly really, really worried about synthetic smallpox. And there's been a lot of work done in the labs messing with the DNA to reactivate smallpox and bring back a synthetic version of it. And Zero Hedge, in that same time frame, did a good article about it, saying, kind of pointing to the paper that was written, following the release of a paper earlier this year, again 2018, that described how researchers stitched together segments of DNA in order to revive horsepox, a previously eradicated virus. Scientists have been flipping out over the possibility that bad actors may use the study as a blueprint to revive smallpox. I'm not going to read the whole thing. If you want to, do it. It's on Zero Hedge. It's called Scientists Freak Out Over Pandemic Potential of Genetically Engineered Smallpox. So this came out into the public consciousness a couple years ago. Out of sight, out of mind. I'm going to bring it back. So what would a smallpox bioterror attack look like? Mostly, if smallpox is released into the United States as a bioterrorist attack, and probably by the United States, public health authorities will find out once the first person sick with the disease goes to a hospital for treatment of an unknown illness. Doctors would examine the person, use tools to develop by the CDC to figure out if a person's signs and symptoms are similar to those of smallpox. If doctors suspect the person has smallpox, they will care for the person and isolate them in the hospital so that others do not come in contact with the smallpox virus. The medical staff at the hospital would contact local public health authorities to let them know that they have a patient who might have smallpox. Local public health authorities would then alert public health officials at the state and federal level, such as the CDC, to help diagnose the disease. If experts confirm the illness is smallpox, then the CDC, along with the state and local public health authorities, will put into place their plan to respond to the bioterrorist attack with smallpox. And again, you can go through and read this. But what do we have today that's pointing to this could be happening? So if we look for it, we can find it Contagion Live, Infectious Disease Today. From last year, September 24th, 2019, the FDA approves smallpox, monkeypox vaccine. This one let's do read. The FDA has approved the first live, non-replicating vaccine indicated for the prevention of smallpox and monkeypox. The Jynneos smallpox and monkeypox vaccine, live, non-replicating, from Bavarian Nordic AS, was approved for preventing smallpox and monkeypox in adults aged 18 years old and older who have been determined to be high risk for either infection. With the indication, it's also become the only FDA-approved vaccine for the prevention of monkeypox, a rare virus infection with similar mild symptoms to smallpox. The possibly fatal disease last made headlines in the U.S. during a 2003 outbreak when the first human cases were reported outside of Africa. And that's because people brought in some prairie dogs from Africa that they bought as pets and ended up getting monkeypox. The vaccine will be made available for clinical determined high-risk patients and also will be included in the Strategic National Stockpile, the U.S.'s greatest surplus of pharmaceuticals and medical supplies for us in potential severe public health emergencies. The Jynneos vaccine does not contain strains of neither the smallpox nor monkeypox virus, but is rather made from the vaccinia virus, which resembles a less harmful form of the variola or monkeypox viruses. The vaccine contains a modified form of virus which does not cause disease in humans and is non-replicating. So we're told. The efficacy of the vaccine in preventing smallpox was evidenced in the clinical trial comparing immune response in treated patients to that of ACAM 2000, a vaccine approved for smallpox prevention. A group of 400 healthy adults aged 18 to 42 years old without prior smallpox vaccinations were split 1-to-1 to either 2 doses of Jynneos split by 28 days or 1 dose of the ACAM 2000. Patients vaccinated with the Jynneos reported a non-inferior immune response to that of the ACAM 2000 vaccinated group. The vaccine's efficacy in preventing monkeypox was evidenced by the antibody response observed in the same smallpox clinical trial participants, as well as from primate trials showing protection from the virus in animals exposed to it. Jynneos safety was reported through data from 7,800 plus individuals who received at least 1 dose of the vaccine. Commonly reported side effects included pain, redness, swelling, itching, firmness at the injection site, muscle pain, headache, and fatigue. The FDA Center of Biologics Evaluation and Research noted a large portion of the U.S. and global population has no immunity from smallpox due to disease eradication. Therefore, and get this, quote, therefore, although naturally occurring smallpox disease is no longer a global threat, the intentional release of this highly contagious virus could have a devastating effect. And this is the exact same type of language that was used in the gain-of-function research with the coronaviruses that were engineered in the lab today. The intentional release is going to have catastrophic pandemic, blah, blah, blah. And here we are. And this is going to happen. This is coming, guys. And it's not only this information that I'm talking about. So recently, just a few weeks ago, Health and Human Services received $32 million worth of the smallpox drug. The Department of U.S. Health and Human Services will soon receive roughly $32 million worth of oral tecovirimat from SIGA Technologies, according to this SIGA press release. SIGA is pleased to continue to deliver tecovirimat to HHS to ensure robust preparedness for the potential smallpox outbreak. Okay, these outbreaks are planned. They know they're coming. We have these articles sent out to say, look, we're preparing, we're your saviors, come to us. This is predictive programming so that when it does happen, we're going, save us, help us. I know you have what we need. Okay, they create the problem, we react, and they give us the solution. Problem, reaction, solution, always. As the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic has demonstrated, this is conditioning, right? This is conditioning us. Preparing in advance to address potential biological threats is essential for rapid and effective response. Maintaining a supply of treatments like TPOXX to combat smallpox is part of a long-standing global commitment to a smallpox emergency response. Smallpox remains one of the most horrific and devastating diseases ever known. While smallpox may not be in headlines today, the illness, treated with tecovirimat, remains a threat. Given the ongoing coronavirus pandemic, maintaining medical supply side preparedness is seen in a new and more urgent light. This delivers valued at approximately $32 million are the initial deliveries of a contract option exercises announced in April of 2020. Statement authors write, the previously announced option exercises under the 2018 contract with the Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority, part of the Office of the Assistant Secretary of Preparedness and Response at HHS, are worth a total of approximately $101.3 million for the procurement of oral tecovirimat. The deliveries are intended to maintain national preparedness and are expected to be finished by April of 2021, in a year from now, a little less. The contract that SIGA has with BARDA contains up to about $414 million of procurement related to options remaining. Where's this going? Again, last year, FDA approves the Jynneos form of smallpox vaccine for adults. Here's something that just came out. July 8th, 2020. This is for investors to purchase this market analysis to be able to know where to invest in the smallpox vaccine market. Smallpox vaccine market. Growth by manufacturers, type and application, forecast to 2026. So something's in the works, guys. They're looking at where to invest their money because everybody's going to be rushing to get these vaccines. New Jersey, United States. Market Research Intellect sheds light on the market scope, potential, and performance perspectives of the global smallpox vaccine market. By carrying out an extensive market analysis, pivotal market aspects like market trends, the shift in customer preferences, fluctuating consumption, cost volatility, the product range available in the market, growth rate, diverse and constraints, financial standing, and challenges existing in the market are comprehensively evaluated to deduce their impact on the growth of this market in the coming years. This report also gives an industry-wide competitive analysis highlighting the different market segments, individual market share of leading players, and the contemporary market scenario, and the most vital elements to study while assessing the global smallpox vaccine market. This market is about to explode, and they know it's coming because they're in control. The research study includes the latest updates about the COVID-19 impact on the smallpox vaccine sector. The outbreak has broadly influenced the global economic landscape, again, conditioning us to clamor for these vaccines. The report contains a complete breakdown of the current situation in the ever-evolving business sector and estimates the after effects of the outbreak on the overall economy. Leading smallpox vaccine manufacturer companies operating at both regional and global levels: Bavarian Nordic, CELSCI, Chimerix, Epivax, Nanotherapeutics, Oncovir, SIGA Technologies. We just saw they have a huge drug contract. One sec. And a few others. Industry analysis, market segmentation, first and second and third generations of this market, so on and so forth. By this market analysis, so you know where to invest in the smallpox market that's about to explode. Sales forecast. The report contains historical revenue and volume that's backing information about the market capacity, and it helps to evaluate conjecture numbers for key areas in the smallpox vaccine market. Additionally, it includes a share of each segment of the smallpox vaccine market, giving the methodological information about types and applications of the market. Reasons for buying smallpox vaccine market report. This report gives a forward-looking prospect of various factors driving or restraining market growth. It renders an in-depth analysis for changing competitive dynamics. It represents a detailed analysis of changing competitive dynamics and puts you ahead of your competitors. It gives you a 6-year forecast evaluated on the basis of how the market is predicted to grow. They already know. It assists in making informed business decisions by performing a pinpoint analysis of market segments and by having complete insights on the smallpox vaccine market. It's funny because Dr. Humphreys in several of her presentations have talked about how, and these go back to like 2014, 2015, how they've been trying hard to get the smallpox vaccine back into the market. Well, here it comes. So be ready for it. Okay. Again, this is pure speculation. I could be completely off, and this is just people looking at potential markets, but it doesn't look that way, folks. It looks like we've got opportunity now where people are terrified of pandemics. They're seeding predictive programming and getting us ready for a smallpox outbreak that's inevitable. It's coming. Okay, so the CDC has some information about monkeypox and smallpox vaccines and guidance and how to do it and information about it. You can go to the CDC, look up pox virus, find monkeypox, find smallpox, look at the signs and symptoms, look at what are the guidance around vaccination. And vaccine effectiveness looks like at least 85% effective in preventing monkeypox. Again, much milder than smallpox, but they want to make sure you know there's a vaccine out there so that you can go get it. What about vaccine risk? Well, we know that they don't do a very good job of actually finding vaccine risk, but based on this past experience, it's estimated that 1 or 2 people out of 1 million will die as a result of life-threatening complications from the vaccine. I can almost assure you it's much greater than that, because this is the type of data that they would cite around every vaccine, and they're all much more dangerous than that. They truly, truly are. Continue to do your research outside of fraudulent pharmaceutical and CDC scientific data. Look at independent research. Look at everything. Okay, guys. Anyway, just wanted to bring this up, point it out, see if you guys want to think about it. If you can dig a little deeper, go ahead and say you are crazy. I'm not saying this is happening, but I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 5 or 6 years there's a surprise smallpox or monkeypox outbreak. Just saying. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.